Hey guys, so I wanted to do a head-to-head comparison here between the Nokia 6 and the other kind of mid-range handset, the Galaxy A7 from Samsung. I think both of them are quite similar in terms of the build quality. We did have some fun with the A7 and had the back replaced here, so you can see it's brand spanking new again. Nearly new. We still have this issue there, but the fingerprint sensor still does work, and I wanted to check it out against the Nokia 6. So we're going to start them up here and see. So obviously the Nokia 6 is a little bit cheaper here than the A7, which is about €300. So it does have some compromises in comparison. They're both coming about the same kind of size here. I think the A7 is 5.7 inch though, so a little bit less bezel around the edges, which is pretty good. We don't get the Nokia tone on the Samsung, which is worth the price of admission alone. And you can see we are starting up here on both of them. So as I said, I did want to check out the fingerprint sensor here on both of them and see how they do compare. So we're going to just turn the displays off, and then 3, 2, 1, go. So you can see that was the Nokia. Let's just try again here. Go. So the Nokia did misread there a little bit, but the A7 did get it, and the A7 misread there a little bit. So I think both of them have a bit of mid-range performance here when it comes to your fingerprint sensors. I have noticed that A series isn't quite as good as the higher end models when it comes to the fingerprint sensor. Well, the Nokia seems to be doing quite well here overall. I think I'm just going to the camera there somehow, probably double tapping the power button. So that is quite nice. So it's a solid fingerprint sensor here, not the best on the Nokia 6. We're going to have a look at the performance then. You can see straight away, I think the A7 has a brighter display, a little bit more vivid as well in terms of the colours here, let's just be honest. I was saying to someone that I think that Nokia should have gone with an AMOLED display because it would have made it stand out a little bit. But nevertheless, how do they compare here? Let's just see. So we'll start again here, because we do have quite a lot of pop-ups actually on this software, but it does seem to be quite refined here in terms of the performance, as you can see, going into stuff. So I did that on the left there a bit quicker, I know. Let's just do the clock. Obviously we're running old Marshmallow still on the A7, completely abandoned by Samsung, versus the latest Android 7.1.1 on the Nokia. It does give you also the force touch kind of features here. If I just go show you this, so you can see what I'm talking about. It does work most of the time, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Let's just go to something else. There we go. So you can see it is working here, but you're not going to get any of that on the Samsung, unfortunately. Let's have a look at some third-party apps. So I think you can see maybe the Nokia is actually a little bit snappier here day to day. I forget what processor the A7 has. I think it's some sort of Exynos, but definitely not a high-end one. And you can see on every single one here, the Nokia is leaving it standing. So that is a pretty nice start. What else do we have? We have something else here, this one. So that was probably the A7 that time. And let's try a game here, Final Fantasy. I think the display is relatively dull, in comparison to what you can get. I do notice that. So you can see the A7 coming back with the game, and another one. So a little bit of pop-ups there, but I think the A7 was in there. UFC. Big delay on both of them, but the A7 coming back here. So I'm thinking the A7 for the games just seems to be more responsive overall. but we'll definitely see how the multitasking fares in a bit. Do we have another one to give it a good test here? I think we do, this one. So you should get so many pop-ups here on the Nokia, but I think the A7 would have been faster anyway, based upon my timing. You can see it takes a while to load the Snapdragon 430, unfortunately. So good performance when it comes to your apps, but poor performance when it comes to the games. Does the Wi-Fi do well? Let's have a look. Start with the A7. So very respectable here score for the A7. The A7 also comes with Type-C connectivity. A little bit disappointing not to see that on the Nokia 6. Not sure if it's the same on the other Nokia phones, but they definitely should be going with that, I think. A little bit struggling here when it comes to Wi-Fi, which I did expect, I guess. So yeah, I think Samsung again out in front when it comes to your Wi-Fi. Let's just see the web browsing. So let's try a big page, Daily Mail. So both load the page here about the same, but both are a little bit laggy when it comes to being responsive. As you can see, pictures taking a long time to load on both of them, but pinch to zoom is relatively responsive here. We can just try GSM. So GSM and go. So you can see nice load here pretty much. The display though does seem relatively dull, in comparison to the A7 again when it comes to the web browsing. Much more pleasing kind of colours here on the right. But if you're looking at it from a speed perspective, they're both about comparable overall. We can just have a look at the multitasking to see how they do compare here. So both of them have 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs internal storage. Reload there on the right. And you can see the software here seems to be nice and stable. I was saying so, and then it reloaded. But generally it seems to be quite stable here, but it could be better, I think. You can see sometimes it does reload. In fact, it's reloading quite a lot now. So maybe I spoke too soon. Well, both of them have completely ground to a halt here. I think the price that they're charging for these phones, you should expect a good kind of performance, really, because they're not cheap. Maybe if it was like 100 to 200 euro, but you can see, the memory management here is very average. I doubt they're going to hold the games in memory. The A7 seems to recover a bit faster, as you can see. And they hold that one. And UFC. A7, nice recovery there. And you can see, I think the Nokia is down and out when it comes to holding this one. And this last one, you can see again, it has reloaded from the start. So in terms of the performance, I'm probably going to give this to the A7 overall. It was faster when it came to the games. The Wi-Fi speed and the multitasking seem to be a little bit better overall, even though it's running older software like Android Marshmallow here still. So I would have expected a little bit better here from Nokia in terms of the performance, but maybe the device is just bedding in. Maybe the performance will improve. So I think also they did focus on the camera a little bit more with this device, obviously, because it doesn't have the highest end processor. So yeah, just a quick little comparison here between Nokia 6 and the Galaxy A7. I'll be doing some other comparisons, so do stay tuned for that. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.